Hey, Sue, who sent me a message just as I'm going live? Hey, it's Suzanne Titkemeyer, formerly of No Longer Quivering. I wrote for there for almost 10 years. Now I'm on my own. I want to do kind of an open format thing today where we talk about whatever is on your mind. Why? Because the entire KJ Truther community seems to have lost their mind. I don't quite understand why. Various trolls have lost their damn minds. Just everybody seems to have lost their damn mind. Now, I know and I'm not going to monetize this. I'm not even going to try because there's going to be a lot of complaining going on for me and others. Hey, Dina. Hey, Christoph fan. Let me just start off by saying I'm having a lot of crazy health problems that go along with a lot of the things that I'm dealing with, probably MS. At this rate, I'll find out a month when I go to the neurologist here. Can you tell I haven't had enough coffee yet? One of the things that's gone wrong is I never know when to eat anymore. I don't get hunger sensations anymore at all. That is completely stopped for me. And I'm getting big time, what do you call it? So when I don't eat, what happens is I get real sick to my stomach and I get a tremendous amount of stomach acid. So usually what happens is I start getting really sick, throwing up. I have to eat. Or if I catch it early enough, I can take some kind of antacid and then eat. So anyway, I'm going to start with a funny tale. Hey, about that. I don't know if you can see what these are. These are Alka gastrics. Never seen them before. But Costa Rica, I'm going to say this. Almost everything is over the counter in the drugstore. So that's wonderful. You can walk in there and say, hey, I need lisinopril, 10 milligrams. I need this. I need that. I need X, Y, and Z. And as long as you're not asking for anything you can get high with, like a Xanax or a pain pill, they're going to just hand it on over. For me, that's been great because I had to get a new asthma medication. Hey, Heidi. Hey, Maria. Hey, Jovi's mom. I had to get a new asthma med. And in the past, that would involve each one I tried would involve a visit to the doctor, a prescription, and a big box of asthma meds that would be expensive even with insurance. Here, that involves walking in and say, hey, I want 3 combi vents, 2 this, 3 that, to try. And you can get the individual vials. No doctor's appointment. No prescriptions. So it's a lot cheaper in the long run. So anyway, these Alka gastrics, I bought these when I started having problems because you can't get Pepcid AC here or Prilosec. And I understand there's some problems with those anyway, but so I got these and I thought they were like regular Alka-Seltzers, which I would take only if it got really, really bad. So I popped them out, threw them into the cup, added water going. I'm pretty much disgustedly done with KJ herself. This is going to be the last time I try to ever mention her ever again, because I just cannot. The stomach has just been so much lately that I'm going to do everything I can to haul it down and make it better, even though I don't know what I have to eat, which is a big problem, apparently. So long story short, I'm kind of done with this. This behavior of everybody and all the crazy rumors and this one and that one, it's got me to where I'm kind of looking at this going, do I really want to be part of this community? And this week, I've kind of reached out and talked to some of the people who are opposed to the community and talked to some more of them. And I'm just looking at this and going, this has really turned into something bizarre. And I know that we're having some kind of, what would Carolyn Ironwill call it? Some type of, what does she call it? Something going on right now for 2 more days. And it's all about communication. And I'm beginning to think that's true because I'm exhausted, Amy Gill. I'm exhausted over this. And I don't know who or what to believe. But like last night, I was sitting in someone's live stream after my husband passed out, listening to them rant and scream and carry on about various things with KJ and others. It wasn't just without a box of Kleenex. This person was just carried on and carried on. And the more they carried on, Mercury retrograde, you're right. Hey, T King. The tighter I could feel my nerves and my stomach clenching. And I could feel that I was getting stomach acid going. And I was like, what is going on here? Please don't tell me this is spun into a ulcer. I had an ulcer back in 1989 when I was working 3 jobs with a newborn, well, not a newborn, but a little baby, and a 14-year-old. And I was trying my damnedest to work all these jobs so we could put money aside to buy a house. I had an ulcer then, and I ended up having to quit 2 of my 3 jobs because it was just too much. So there's that. And none of this to me is worth letting my health go crazy. And God knows I have had some crazy ass things happen to my health. With the mast cell, it just kind of, when you think you have it tamped down one place, it goes somewhere else and something else happens and you're going, what the hell? What the hell? I'm beginning to think we just need to just not mention without a box of Kleenex. If no one mentioned her, I think she would probably fade. Okay, Dina says, I feel like you have to tread too lightly. No matter what you say, it's upsetting someone. And simply saying hi in a chat results in World War rumors and speculation. You are entirely right about that. My reaching out to Ren and talking to Ren has really ruffled some feathers, even though I felt like it was the thing to do in the larger setting because of some things that were going on. What is it with Sassy being a KJ stan and something about CPS and KJ right now? All this stuff is all over Twitter. Heidi, I heard the same thing. Somebody told me last night that she was either KJ or KJ stan, and I was like, Went back and looked at my conversations with her, and there's nothing to indicate either way whether she is or not. But now her Twitter is gone. Scarlett's Twitter is gone. Everything is off of her channel but one video. It's just really curious. I don't know what the heck is going on. Maybe she got a cease and desist from KJ. I don't know. Hey, Aaron. I really like the creators I found through the drama and plan to stick with them, with the hopes of different content now and then. I've left some too. I've done the same. And that's why I'm trying to move my content away and talk about things like dealing with Costa Rica and me swallowing a stupid antacid pill that I was supposed to crunch and chew because I hadn't kept up with expanding my Spanish. I have great shopping skills and recipe skills and talking to the guys that work for us skills. But reading the back of medicine boxes, apparently I really fail at that. I never, ever spoken to Ren, ever. I chose to acknowledge his tag respectfully, but that was still not right. I'm not anti anyone. I don't hate anybody. Dina, I'm the same way. I don't actually hate anybody, not even without a box of Kleenex. Actually, right now, I'm just feeling sorry for her because this is all just too crazy. I cannot imagine having groups of people so angry with you that they're doing some of the things that I've seen go on, because I have seen some things that definitely cross the line. So I'm thinking I'm going to take a Twitter vacation. And I'm going to take a vacation from looking at everybody's videos except for the history ones that I've been watching, some of those. Because it's gotten too nutty. And it's not just the trouble around Sassy. There's just various things that I'm just looking at on Twitter going, do, like Homer Simpson. And I can't for the life of me figure out why anybody would go there and do some of those things. I mean, in all reality, it all comes down to we're all human beings. And not everybody's going to be everybody else's favorite flavor. I'm just going to come right out and say that. I know I am not certain people's favorite flavors, and I know I don't like some people. I don't like their style. Let me rephrase that. I like their humanity. I recognize them as a fellow human being, but stuff like I watched an interior designer earlier screeching about, like the guy in the little panel I have, screeching about entryways. Well, I think it's good she's passionate about design. All that screeching just made me want to claw my ears out and my eyes. Dina, it's really hard to be respectful. I think the problem with the community is um, we're dealing with emotions. I mean, I have to agree with BX Beast Boy on this. There are people who are emotionally driven on this, and there's a lot of ego involved. There's a lot of, I've said that when this stops being fun for me or starts being too much of a hassle, I'm just checking out. Like I've said before, sick, unable to walk, whatever. I still have enough other things going on around here. Today being Father's Day, which means I have to be nice to my husband and fix a mistake and various things. I'm still going to spend most of the day in my sewing room creating. I may paint today. I haven't painted in ages because of my asthma has really made painting a problematic thing. Yeah, I hope nobody gave you any crap either, Dina. I've never heard him mention you. An herb? Oh, and I hate to say it, I am drawing a blank. I haven't used an herb for my hair in a really, really long time. Mostly what I use is coconut oil, and I've been told not to use that'll dry your hair out, which is a problem because I have very Native American, perfectly straight. Well, I can't say perfectly straight because I do have a few little waves that happened after I went through chemo, but mostly that. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, Absinthe. I'm gonna have to go back and look and see what I was taking then. Dina, you're kind of like in the space I am. I I'm not fighting with anybody. I've had people come in to hear and rinse and try to fight with me. I had somebody I'm almost certain was without a box of Kleenex come in one night when I was on there, and I gave it back to them hard. That's the only time I've ever actually fought. Stina Marie, yeah, that's what happens after chemo. It can do crazy things to your hair. Dina, yeah, and he can be, and he. I think the thing people mistake him. I think he can be perfectly fine. You just have to treat him with respect. And Jim Jules, yeah, health is the most important. You never know how small sporadic spikes and yeah, stress can add up. Yep. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Um, that's exactly. Amy, you're right. It's way too short to fight over any of this. It's just way too short. I'm still puzzling over the supplement. The only thing I can think of with the M that I was taking was melatonin. It may have been something that Cindy talked me into doing that I did for a while. I'll have to go back and look. Mostly I take a multivitamin and garlic. I take tons and tons of garlic now. Whether the garlic did any good or not, I don't know. But mostly I take that when I have an infection. And I do take a bunch of other stuff. I've just got to figure out. Jennifer, I wish I knew. I wish I knew what was going on. It's just a lot of crazy going on right now. I don't know what exactly, why this one's saying that they've called the law on KJ and the FBI, and this one says that this one is KJ or KJ Stan. And people deleting their accounts. There's people deleting videos. There's a lot of that going on. And I'm not saying deleting is bad or even deleting your accounts or your videos is bad. There are going to be times when you're going to make a video and you're going to need to pull it down. I'm getting ready to pull down one only because I've been talking to somebody in the murder victim's family who's upset, who's just upset about so many things. So I have made the decision to pull it down. She doesn't want me writing a book. I'm kind of stuck because while I'm ready to publish, I have come to a completely different conclusion than when I originally wrote this series of articles. And I think now it had something to do with sex trafficking. Not only that, I've talked to so many people who were similar, very similar group homes. How many of these group homes? And I'm now thinking we need to move on and just talk about the group homes and maybe talk a very little bit about that murder. I have no wish to upset the murder victim's family at all. Christoph, that's what I use. I use coconut oil. I take it. I take a spoonful of it every day. Magnesium. Yeah, that was it. I was trying to think. It was calcium. It was a vitamin C magnesium supplement I was taking for a long time. And yeah, I agree with you, Christoph and Dina. No one has the right to say who you can support, who you can be friends with. And I don't see why we can't be friends across the board. I mean, even with those people you don't necessarily like, you don't like their videos so much, you think, well, I don't have much in common with that person. There is nothing to be gained by being ugly about it. You can still be halfway friendly and nice. My ticket on this crazy train has reached the destination I want off. You are absolutely right. I'm going to have to get some more because I've stopped. I quit taking magnesium and vitamin C recently just because I was just out of it. And supplements here are crazy expensive. Now, my husband's going to the States in a few days, and he has a long laundry list for me of things that I need from the States. I'm going myself in less than a month for a week. My baby, my child that was so sick, is having her 30th birthday, and she wants her mama there. So I'm going, even though ticket prices have gotten outrageously expensive. Used to be I could fly there and back for $300 to DC. It's at least double that now, if not more. We both have overpaid for our tickets this time. It's because there are not as many flights, and we're competing, the Americans are competing with the Costa Ricans who are flying to the States specifically to get COVID vaccinations because they're barely available here. They're really hard to get. Thank you, Absinthe. I'm flattered. You know how close I came to buzzing my hair with the clippers last night? It's so hot. So a lot of times I'm either in here in the bedroom with the AC on, like I am now, or I'm somewhere with my hair on the top of my head, sweating my rear end off, sweating my biscuits off because it is so hot here. And here's the thing, I don't turn the AC on until it's almost 95. I don't feel hot until it's almost 90, is what I've discovered. I'll have to look for that, Jules, because there's a store here in town that carries supplements and things like that. And I've seen some flower essence supplements that I've only seen in the States there. So I'm going to have to go and look for that. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, Stina Marie. People need to stop witch hunting about who is and whose chat or commenting where or who is talking to who on Twitter. It's so stupid and a waste of time. Amen. I absolutely agree with that. You know, I came into the KJ Truther community because she had stood me up, and that, as bad as that was, standing up somebody who has to medicate pretty extremely to go on an early stream, as bad as that was, disrespecting my disability. The kicker for me was when I found she used a lot of NLQ content and used it incorrectly. claiming it was her original content, and then said that she'd talked to me and we were cool. She totally lied. That was the thing that flipped me over. And there were a lot of people in the KJ Truther community that were really wonderful, that came to me and said, look, don't feel like you're alone. This has happened to so and so, and this has happened to so and so. I just have to call out Steve McRae. He really reached out to me. He was the first one to really do it hard. And I've seen him move on beyond the dramas that he's been involved with, and carve out a niche for himself with his YouTube channel. And I think that's wonderful. Life Extensions, a very high quality brand. Okay, I'm going to have to look at that. I'm going to have to look at it. I'm going to have to order that when I'm in the States, because that's the other thing, my poor daughter. I'm doing the thing I always do when I go to the States. I order the stuff that is hard to get here on Amazon and have it delivered to her house, pull out my extra suitcases I bring with me, and pack them. Going to the States is crazy shopping time for me, because Costa Rica is a second world country, and there are a lot of really great things. If I lived in San Jose, I probably would never have to do that. I could probably get everything there. It wouldn't be cheap, but I could get it. But I'm 5 hours from San Jose. I'm on the Gold Coast. There's just not that much stuff available here. Waking up with vertigo. Hey, Linda. That's a good question. I'd like to know that one myself, because I have had some bouts of vertigo, and I have balance bouts so bad that I can't walk. And that's one of the things I'm ordering those nifty 3-wheeled walkers. Because I can walk all day hanging onto a handle. I can go shopping and push that cart for 10 hours a day and not feel it, and be able to walk and balance, no problem. So obviously it's not a muscular problem, I figured out. It is nerves and balance and that sort of thing. So I'm going to get something to be my shopping cart. And unfortunately, that's one of those things that if I if I bought it on Amazon, it's only about $100. Shipping and import fees here would be close to $200, bringing the cost up to $300. If I bought it here and I still had to bought it there for the $100 and still had to pay $50 to bring it on the plane, it's still a 50% savings to what I would have to pay to have things shipped here. Costa Rica has some draconian laws as far as their aduana, which is their taxes. Their import fees are crazy. Crazy. They're not so crazy on some things. I buy yarn from the States, and the import fees are cheap. But if you buy clothes, it's 35% of whatever you paid for the clothing item. Ah, that's a nice thing to do, Linda. I think I might go for a ride today. It's all nasty and gray overhead, but maybe it might be a good day to take a ride over to Las Catalinas. Las Catalinas is this beautiful resort that's in Playa Donta. I've got a friend that works there. It's outrageously expensive. I told my husband, I said, if I was a billionaire, I would just buy a suite here and live here. There's no need to go anywhere else. The only problem is there's not really a grocery store anywhere around, so you'd have to go into Liberia or somewhere else to get your groceries. Tamarindo is really going to be your closest place that has a decent grocery store. They have an automercado, which is like a hypothyroidism. Iodine. That's a iodine. That's a thought. Chewable Dramamine. Only probably Dramamine. Is this the same thing as this? I'm going to show you guys something that I use a lot in mast cells. And I have the injectable form too. Generic Benadryl. I buy it in the industrial size bottles. I laughed because about 6 months ago, they came out with a report that said that regular Benadryl use has been linked to dementia. If that was the case, I would have been a drooling idiot by the time I was 16. That has been one of the rare consistent drugs that works to hold down my asthma. I take it every day. I take it more when I've got the asthma going on. It just works. Look into low T4 symptoms, see if you can relate to any of them. Huh. That's actually pretty interesting. I'm gonna take a look at that too. Oh, Linda, I'm sorry that he quit driving. I guess he doesn't feel safe doing that. I've almost gotten there myself. 95 per hour. I know how that is. I know how that is with the driving. I've pretty much stopped myself. My husband drives most of the time. I just drive a little bit because I kind of look at it this way. If I'm having numbness and difficulty using the left side of my body, what in the heck am I doing with my left hand? I don't really want to be driving. I don't know that I'm going to be that good at it. So I probably should not be driving. I'm going to ask the doctor about that when I go, along with getting a handicap parking sticker because, I mean, a little thing for the plate, because most of the time I'm fine to walk long distances. Most of the time I have my cane, but if I have a day like yesterday where I'm almost crawling, it's a problem. Oh, wow. Gigi, so do I. That's what was so funny about the report saying that it kills off your memory. If it kills off your memory, I'm 61. I've been taking that since I was wee. It would really be because of the COVID. Yeah, I've stopped eating most meat too, Jules. That's interesting. Linda, I think it depends on nursing facilities. Let me tell you something. My mother-in-law went to several of them. She was in a total of like 5 or 6 before she passed. And the first one she went into, oh my gosh, I would move in there right now if I thought I could. It was like living in a luxury hotel. And most of the people there were ambulatory. There was all kinds of activities. There was like all kinds of things they hauled them off to do if they wanted. It was wonderful. And I would have moved in there in a heartbeat. There was one in our little town in Virginia that I toured with her that she'd been thinking about moving up to Virginia at one point. It was also like living in a luxury mansion, and it was like a mansion, this place in Virginia. And that's another good one. She had a couple of very nice ones that she went to that had different levels of care. The last one she went to, I didn't really care much for. But then again, by that time, she was in her 90s. She was in her mid 90s, and it was early 90s. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. She was not young, obviously, and she was starting to have memory issues. And she had issues with oxygen levels. There were times they've had to drain fluid out of her lungs. They had a variety of problems that she was having. I mean, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's old age problems. When you get to a certain age, your body just wears out. I had a great grandmother that lived to be in her hundreds. And when she died, it was the weirdest thing. She just said one day, she said, okay, that's it. I'm done living. And she got in the bed. And about 2 weeks later, she died. Our home healthcare doctor that came, and she never went into the nursing home. She went into the nursing home. She never went in the nursing home. And the home healthcare doctor that saw her in her final 2 weeks said that there was nothing really specifically wrong with her. It was just old age. Everything was wearing out. And I believe that's kind of how it is sometimes when you get that old. Things just wear out. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A retirement community with on-site nursing staff. And they also have ones that have different levels of care. They have different buildings for that. Here in Costa Rica, there's nothing like that. If I wanted to have a huge business here and make a zillion bucks, I would start I would start a retirement home with buildings for memory care and things as you can move, because I'm just going to come right out and talk about this too. I've seen that here. 85 and 80. We still think we're 30. We don't want to give up. We want to stay home. I'm scared they are giving up on us. I think they're concerned more than anything. I, you know, I hope to stay in my home the rest of my life too. Even this home, which was not I like this home, but it's not my home, if that makes any sense. My home was my house in Virginia that I sold, that I had lived in for 30 years. Maybe when I'm in here for 10 plus years, this will feel like home. Right now, it doesn't. It feels like a hotel room. It feels like a vacation place we're staying. I'm losing some of my memory too, Linda, but I think it's because of the Lyrica, and I'm having to face that too. I think I'm going to have to start bringing people into the house to do the things I do because I can't sweep anymore. And the electric here is such that I've burned out a number of appliances. That's a negative of here. You're going to burn out your small electrical appliances quickly because the electrical system, the grid here is not stable. It flickers, it's doing stable today, but there are going to be days, and I'm going to point it out the next time it happens, where you see those inset lights go flick, 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 on and off. Yeah, I don't take any of that. I take very few things. I wonder if, yeah, this has started with the lyric. I wonder if the lyric is driving it, because I normally don't have those problems with acid reflux. This is a new thing for me, and I don't know how people live with it all the time. It's driving me crazy to never be hungry and don't know when I got to eat. Yeah, I've gained 15 pounds. It tastes like burning, yeah. So these nursing homes and these retirement communities, like I said, they don't have those here. And there are people here that would benefit from those. There's a guy I know here, he's got to be every bit of 75. I just call him Jersey. It's close to his real name, but it's not his real name. But he runs around spouting conspiracy theories. The last 3 times I've seen him, and it's like, hey, Jersey, how you doing? He started spouting conspiracies about COVID and COVID vaccinations. And I still don't know how he's doing. About 3 years ago, he tried to pretend for about 6 months he was his twin brother to me. And I knew he was not his twin brother. I knew from talking to him he did not have a twin brother. So is he slipping mentally? Yeah, I'd say he is. There's also someone that I don't know how old she is. I'm going to call her Irene. She comes and visits us on a regular basis. She's very involved with the church communities here. She's very involved with feeding the hungry. She ran a soup kitchen for a while. She had to have hip replacement 3 or 4 months ago, and she's bounced back remarkably. But I think she's rather not young. I think 85 or older. I would not be surprised one bit. Recently, she was telling me about what it was like to live in New York City in the early 60s. So she was an adult then. She's not a young woman. That's my point. Lately, we've noticed she's slipping too. She's one of those that I'm very concerned about. If I knew her family, I would contact them. I'm hoping that her daughter figures it out. Her daughter's coming soon. We're having conversations, like she called me recently and wanted to use the hot tub. That's not a big deal. We have a hot tub. There aren't many in this area. There are very few places that have them. When somebody tells me they want to use a hot tub and they tell me, I always require they tell me 24 hours in advance, because I can flick on the tub 3 hours before they come. It'll be nice and hot. She wanted to come right then. Oh, well, Gigi, that makes sense. But I can't get off the Lyrica because it lets me sleep with this nonsense with the constant pins and needles. So she called me up and said, "Hey, I'm coming over right now to sit in your hot tub." And I said, "Well, it's off right now. You're going to have to wait at least 2 hours to get in." She said, "No, no, no. I'm coming right now because the sun has warmed it up enough." And I said, "Sweetheart, the sun does not warm the hot tub. It just does not. The sun will hit the hot tub, but it doesn't heat the water. I have to actually go in and turn the switch on in the pool pump house to switch on the heating element. We don't run it 24 hours a day because it would be astronomical. That's one of the few things that's expensive here is electricity. So I tend to like when I need air conditioning, I tend to hold in the room with the newest, best air conditioning, which is my bedroom. Um, so there's that. So what I do is I flip it on 2 hours, 3 hours before I know somebody's going to show up. So, well, I can't get Pepsi here, unfortunately. So I'm stuck with calcium supplements or else the salty ones, which I don't really like either. So there's the thing with that. I couldn't get her to understand about the hot tub. She was just huffing and huffing and puffing and carrying on. And I said, "Well, the other thing is, our electricity's out right now." And she said, "So is mine." And then she was mad because the internet was out. And we had to have that conversation. It's like, when the electricity goes out, the internet goes out because you're using a wireless router. So it was just, I don't even know. So I've had a lot of conversations with her like that, and she was never like that in the past. So clearly she's slipping and could probably benefit from care. I don't think I've slipped enough to move into any retirement community. My husband thinks he's 12 still, so that's not happening. And I can just imagine how horrified they would be in their retirement communities that he would move to because he has got this habit of swimming naked now in our pool. Now we have a high enough fence where nobody would be seeing. I don't do that. Too many things flop around for me to ever do that. But and certain body parts just float all the way up, and I'm like, it's too much in when I'm swimming. So we don't do that. But I'm gonna have to get a pile of Pepsi when I go to the States, Amanda. I'm gonna do that. Yep, yep. So that's exactly right. So he likes to swim naked. And when we were staying in his mother's retirement community, he did that in the pool because there was nobody around for miles. And I'm like, stop that right now. And he's like, doo-doo-doo-doo, grabbing his Pringles and his Jif. I had to laugh. One of his friends PM'd me yesterday and said, "What kind of junk food can I buy for him?" Just have Pringles and Jif and he'll be fine. Maybe a box or two of those little Debbie cakes because he does like his junk food. And I, like a certain fundamentalist, tried for ages to get him to eat right. I have given up on that since we've been living in Costa Rica. He is a grown ass man that can eat vegetables or not eat vegetables. Now I'm going to continue to eat my vegetables and fruits, but I'm not going to try to force him to do it any longer. It's a fool's mug's game trying to force anybody else to eat a different way. Linda, I don't want to give up quilting either. Or do you find it's more of a challenge now? I don't find I don't have the patience quite as much as I did. I just started putting together a quilt and I somehow made a mistake in measuring the when I was measured it out and I made a mistake and I've had to trim everything to make it to fit together. But that's quilting. And I'm sure you guys don't want to give up holding hands, being together. I would not want to give up the fun we have picking on each other, which we do quite a bit. The childish fun we have, like his habit of making a joke out of a lot of things that aren't very joke worthy. It spins to us talking about stuff. Um, the fun we have watching Love After Lockup and hooting at some of the silliness going on the screen, going, "What?" He's also started watching 90 Day Fiance some. I've only watched a couple episodes, so we're trying to find fun that we do together. Yeah, Linda, it's gotten more difficult for me too. And I'm definitely getting somebody to come in here. I'm going to have to talk to my husband about it. We burned out um, too many of those iRobot electric vacuum cleaner things that go around and vac. I can't even think of the name of them. So I can't sweep hardly at all. Sweeping is very difficult if you have no balance, by the way. I can mop all day. I can lean on that mop and mop. That doesn't bother me. It's the sweeping that's the problem. I had somebody named Sylvia that was coming in that lives right next door. But the problem with Sylvia, besides the fact that she went to Nicaragua to be with her family during COVID, is that she has a bad back. So the things that I really need the most help with, cleaning windows, sweeping, they're all back chores. I could handle the daily dishwashing and cooking still. But if I could get somebody to come in, sweep dust, mop, and do the windows, that would go a long way. Linda, I've got the same problem. And I wasn't, Roomba, yeah, I wasn't thinking, I was thinking it was part of whatever is going on with the pins and needles. But yeah, because I crochet and I can't crochet at the speed I once did. I could crochet like crazy, but not anymore. Now it takes longer and longer and longer. I think that's something that it's at some point I'm going to have to give up. Feel the same way, Linda. I try not to ever feel that way, and I try to do only what I can do. I'm looking across right now at the guest house. I really need to clean it badly. Not that it's dirty; it's just dusty in there. I need to go in there and dust, sweep mop dust. That's the reality of it. And I got a storage room full of crap I got to sort through and put in boxes just because I'm tired of looking at it all over the place. And yeah, you do feel like you're failing when you get older and you can't keep up with the things that were easy when you were younger. I look back at all the stuff I did with my kids when I was working and just doing it all and think that's really for younger women now, really. It is. And that's okay. That is really okay. I kind of look at it this way. That's one wonderful thing about being retired in Costa Rica. There is nothing I must do in any day. There is literally nothing. Like yesterday, I had a very bad stomach day and I could not eat. And I couldn't eat and I had a lot of things going on with my stomach. So I just crawled out to the sofa and crocheted all day and I rewatched Handmaid's Tale. I rewatched the finale because it was so nuts that I had to see it again and kind of make sure I didn't miss anything. And then I started watching Breaking Bad, which I haven't seen in ages. I'm rewatching that series. I drug my husband into it. He's into it, even though he wasn't into it the first time it aired. It was just my son and I. Linda, I don't want to lose that connection too. It has been such a nice thing since COVID started to be able to turn to this to talk to people. Because I don't know where you guys are, but here in Costa Rica, they keep shutting us down. They shut us down completely for like 6 weeks to start with, 6 or 8 weeks. We were in the house all the time, except one day a week. I love Breaking Bad too. It's one of my favorites. Um, so if you're used to being out and social, and I'm not the most social of persons, um, couldn't go to church, couldn't go to our social groups. The bingo fundraiser we went to every couple of weeks was off limits. I couldn't get together with my friends to play Flux or Yeti Beats Aliens or any of the other crazy games we used to play. There was no getting together for pizza. There was no getting together at the monkey bar for pizza and swimming at their giant pool in the sky. All of our social life just dead ended. And there were people that still did the social here, but I would not because I feel like it's too much of a risk. And one party I know of, and I love the girl whose birthday it was. She's really a special person, wonderful singer, wonderful, nice person, married another friend of mine recently. I didn't go to that party. But later I heard there were about 15 cases of COVID that were contracted at that party. So I stayed inside. Watching YouTube, going on Twitter has been a godsend. during the pandemic. And I know it has been for other people, but at the same time, I think it's a driver for a lot of the drama we're seeing. We're seeing so much drama that for the life of me, I keep looking at it and going, what is going on here? I can't handle all the paranoia. And if it's driving the stomach acid and I'm going to bed grinding my teeth thinking about it, and I'm sitting in someone else's live stream and they're yelling and I'm feeling anxious, it's just time to step away from that crap. If it gets like that, it's time to step away. I mean, I don't see any other way about it. We live in Missouri on our Westerly Ranch. We just love it. This mess is taking a toll on us. I think it's taking a toll on everyone. It really has. Amanda, yes. I did see it. Yeah, I usually pick up one or two people that I like, couples, and say, I hope they make it. Um, I'm going to get the shot, Linda. I'm going to get Johnson and Johnson. That's the only way my doctor will let me get. My husband is getting Johnson and Johnson when he goes. It's already been set up. I'm looking to see what I need to do and calling around. I'm going to call around the week before I have to go and make my appointments, and then just show up and see who has the Johnson and Johnson variant, because it's the one I need. I can't be taking the other ones, and I'm only there a week. I'm not there long enough to get vaccinated twice, which is an interesting point. A lot of the Costa Ricans are not going back for the second one, so I'm not sure how protected you are if you only get one of the other ones. And I agree, all of the couples are train wrecks. Last season, I got such a kick out of Indian John Miller, who said he was Native American with the most Anglo name you could possibly come up with. I don't know. I never could figure out what his Indian percentage was and what his tribe was, which is a real thing, you know. Usually, if you claim to be Native American, you have to register with the tribe and all of that. But I don't know with him. The joy of life is the concept of flow. You are right about that. And that's one thing that's been great about here. It is such a slow pace of life. The locals are wonderful people. There's none of that going on. There's none of fighting. There's no nastiness. Ticos will help you. You can help Ticos. It's good. My only problem here is with some of the other Americans are kind of uppity when you have a millionaire class. Well, here's the thing that I've observed. If you have people who are millionaires, lots of them you have one in a community, they're the big muckety muck. But if you have a community where everybody is, then you're all the same size fish in the same size small little pond. So when they start flexing with their money, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. It doesn't buy them any additional anything, and they don't understand that. It's actually kind of funny to watch. I've thought about writing about it because it's really been insane. One of the most insane things I've ever seen. I've seen millionaire flex, and I've seen billionaire flex here too. And I've also seen Costa Rica tends to attract people who have a very adventurous streak. I have a small adventurous streak. My husband's the one with a huge adventurous streak. Huge, huge, huge. Yes, Bonnie and Clyde. Amanda, it makes me laugh that they're still together and they're still pushing that Bonnie and Clyde narrative. Do they even know who Bonnie and Clyde were and how they ended? It's not a pretty story at any point. The flexiphails, yes, the flexiphails. That's exactly what it is. So, who do you think in this year's Love After Lockup, who's going to fall apart the first? Is it the guy with the raccoon on his head? I want to call him Scott Mark III because he's the third older gentleman hooked up with a prison gal who is clearly looking at him as a mark. Is it going to be the lady in Michigan who bought the giant rolls of bologna, married the guy in prison? Is it going to be the lady who used to be a prison guard and went to jail for being a prison guard having a relationship with a prisoner? Is it going to be the guy in Newport News that has the weird sex toy? They've already showed clips of his girlfriend coming out and saying no sex without paying for the boob job. I don't know what kind of relationship that is, but none of these people are coming across very well. It's like now they're picking the most train wrecky people on the planet. Season one, I had some empathy for some of those people, and I've been happy that some have actually made it. I look at Britney and Marcelino, and they've pretty much successfully navigated coming out of that, and I got to give them props. Even Bonnie and Clyde, John Redcorn, as we kept calling him, Bonnie and Clyde have managed to make it. It looks like there aren't many that have. I know people point to Tony and Angela and say that they're successful. I don't think so from what I'm seeing. It just looks like crazy. Crazy, crazy. I feel bad for the son too, Absent. His son seemed like a grounded little guy, and it made me think of a real life friend of mine who was married to a man whose parents and ex were involved in a very abusive religion, almost a cult. That he had a child with this woman, with his ex-wife, and he and the current wife had to fight the grandparents, both sets of grandparents, and the mother. And they finally did get custody of the child because the mother and the grandparents were doing so many crazy cult activities. They got custody. Then he started using drugs, lost his mind, and ended up killing himself. So my friend, who's not a blood relation to this child at all, who took the child on like the lady in Michigan took on this man's son, ended up with full custody. She's got full custody of the child and has adopted it now. And they're doing fine. They're doing well. And it's about time because she's had way too much chaos in her life, that poor child. Way too much chaos. She deserves a normal, happy childhood. And she's getting it now, finally. It was horrible, and it was a horrible, horrible thing. I sat there and walked through that with my friend. She's had all kinds of drama in her life. That's the one thing about leaving toxic religion. I guess the same as leaving prison or any other weird high demand lifestyle. Is it takes its toll. It can take a long time to get out. It can spin you into drugs and other things. You notice it's Sunday morning and I'm still not back at church. I don't think I'm going back. I think I'm Church of the Holy Basement now. My husband is on his last Sunday at church. I'm waiting for him to roll in and tell me what happened. They've been love bombing him, telling him how he's the most wonderful thing since sliced bread. And he's not exactly fallen for it. So he's warned them and said, you need to find somebody else to take over this role, that role in the church, because I won't be back. And they're apparently not taking him very seriously. So today is that last worthless morning. He wants to attend another church run by a friend of ours, 20 minutes or so from here. And I may go once or twice and see what it's like. I have a lot of friends that go there, so I'm not walking in blind. I know everybody there. I'm very familiar with their very kind of middle of the road theology. Again, it's a non-denominational, and I am not a fan of those now. Because if you don't have accountability, all kinds of crazy things can happen. Okay, and I'm seeing one of my strays that usually comes in leaving. He did not come into the house today. That's very odd. Yeah, that's one thing that we have done here. Feed a lot of cats. Linda, I think it's going to be for me. It's going to be no more. It's going to be every now and then at most. My husband is eager to attend this other church because he knows the pastor very well. I have to have a conversation with the pastor about what happens if I need an ADA accommodation. Well, we have to have that conversation because I can't have what happened at the last church. Except that I will say this church is not indoors. They're not in a big fancy building. They're in what you usually see with churches here, which is like you see in restaurants here, it's a big tin roof, open sides. I'm usually fine, no matter how vile the cologne, the cleanser, the dog fur, the whatever. I'm usually fine there because it blows right out. Or I could get up and move, or get up and go out of the little tent. I'm usually very fine in those situations. And my problems only started when our old church moved from that situation to a brand spanking, huge, glamorous building. When we went into the sealed building is when I started having problems. I don't do well in sealed spaces with various chemicals. And Linda, I'm going to be fine. And if I'm not, man, I've lived a long time, 61 years. And it does kind of freak me out a little bit because on my father's side of the family, 61 seems to be on one side of the family the most years anyone ever gets. But then again, I don't have heart problems like the rest of them on that side of the family had. So I'm probably safe. On the other side, I have people that lived to be 103 and such. So maybe I'll have a happy medium. I never dreamed I would make it the age I am now with my asthma as bad as I had as a child, as close as I came to death so many times as a child. I never dreamed I'd be sitting here right now talking to you. I thought for sure that I wasn't even going to make 30. I was pretty sure of it most of my childhood. Now I'm thankful and grateful to be here. Breathing is important, and that's my number one priority. The not walking, the tingles, all that's all secondary. That's what people don't seem to realize about me. Yeah, it sucks not being able to walk well without a cane. But when I measure it against the feeling of not being able to breathe, it's not even the same stratosphere. Not even. Not even. I just real quick, open air church, yes. That's the only way I would go. And I know the pastor. I know if I approached him and said, hey, is this going to be a problem? He would probably say no, it would not be a problem. The church that we were going to was a spinoff of this other church that my husband wants to attend. It's one of those ugly church splits where people start flinging mud and I'm starting my own church. That you see a lot when you see non-denominational, you see fundamentalist churches, when you see IFB, you see that happening, these church splits. People just get mad over dumb stuff, kind of like our communities that splinter all the time. So there's that. And I just want to mention real quick before I go, I don't know how many of you guys are members of Reddit. I am a member of Reddit. I don't look at too much there. I'm not even a member of the KJ thing, but one of the things that I recently stumbled upon that I just have to laugh over, I stumbled across a community called Illness Fakers. And at first I was really just outraged because some of the people they were talking about had mast cell. They were talking about these people. So I went in there to cuss them all out. And guess what happened? I started reading and I realized there are an awful lot of people out there that fake their illnesses that I had never even thought of. Why would anyone pretend to be sick to the point where they're taking medicines and they're having procedures? For the life of me, I just do not know. I think that's possibly one of the silliest things I've ever seen. Illness Fakers is part of Reddit. Reddit is a website that's like a message board that people post all kinds of things. There's a Love After Lockup Reddit subreddit, which I actually read that one, and once in a great while we'll post there. There's that. There's some of the other shows I watch, like The Crown, Handmaid's Tale. My favorite, The Righteous Gemstones. They all have boards there. People have photography boards where they put up the pictures they've taken, all kinds of cool stuff. There's also all kinds of wacky and weird stuff too, like Fundy Snark Uncensored. I read that. I don't post very much there, but I read that. They tend to get on things really quickly. They catch stuff a lot quicker than anybody else, I guess because they're looking for it. And since I stopped writing for NLQ, I don't look for those things anymore. They just pop out, like talking yesterday about Jill Rodriguez and the day before about Michael Pearl. I've heard nothing more on Michael Pearl at all. Amanda, I have not gone into that. Huh. I'll have to take a look at that too. Some of the communities there are great. Some of them are stupid. I started going there because of Love After Lockup, because the Facebook groups for Love After Lockup were filled with stupidity. I would just want to scream when somebody would show up and say, so and so was so hot. I want to make out with him. Like, no. So there's that. Absinthe, I was shocked by the last episode. But it makes sense because we could see that June was maybe not her most mentally stable. She was suffering from complex PTSD, and she had a traumatic brain injury. So I think all of those things played into what ultimately happened in the very last episode, which was understandable. Amanda, it's sometimes too much for me too, which is why I don't post there much. When they start going into crazy town, I'm just like, no. Somebody recently called out Fundy Snark because what were they doing? They were talking about Jewish people in such a way that was pretty awful. So somebody had to come on there and say, hey, let's not talk about the Jews. Let's not drag the Jews in the middle of this mess. Just because some fundamentalists like to pretend they're Jews and celebrate Jewish holidays, that doesn't give us room to say these things about Jewish people. Linda, she is just something else. I just can't for the life of me figure out what that something else is. Yeah, Amanda, I can't either. Because that's one thing I'll agree with Real Entertainment Network that he was going after last night. Going after people's children is, particularly their minor children, is never cool. Never, 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 never. Apparently, there was a T-spiracy video done the other day where T-spiracy, somebody said something about his daughter, about Ren's 14-year-old daughter. And that's not cool. Not cool at all. Particularly since he has gone out of his way not to talk about other people's children. He hasn't talked about their children at all. And I think that's probably a wise idea. We don't talk about people's children. Don't drag their spouses into anything. You don't know what the relationship is. Maybe the spouse already knows everything they're doing. One of the biggest laughs I've ever had, it's not their fault, isn't it? You're right, Amanda. One of the biggest laughs I've ever had with NLQ was I had already decided to stop talking about Lori Alexander. I'd even posted about it because she had a brain tumor, an active brain tumor. I don't talk about people's children. I don't talk about people that are dealing with serious medical conditions unless I'm doing something like with Michael Pearl and reporting on it and saying, this is what they're saying is going down. Terrible. So this Lori Alexander posted about her brain tumor coming back. So I said, I'm just not going to talk about her anymore. Not at all. And her husband, Ken Alexander, who's quite the piece of work himself, I think he's responsible for her. I think the way he treated her in their marriage has spawned her. Maybe she had those tendencies to be the way she is all along, but I think that their relationship created the theology that treats women awful, says awful things about women, is awfully dismissive, and treats women like lesser people. I'm just going to say it that way. So shortly after I posted hey, Lori's got a brain tumor, let's not pick on her piece, Ken Alexander PM'd my husband in the middle of the night. I was already in the bed. I was sleeping. My husband was not well. He kept going and throwing up, and I kept hearing him and waking up. Well, he came to bed, I don't know, about 11, 12, whatever, and said, there's some idiot named Ken who has sent me a long, pious, ridiculous screed about the evil that you are, telling me to control you. You want to go answer him because I'm not saying anything to him. He's just inappropriate. So I went in there and I answered him. I just told him, I said, I've pretty much stopped talking about your wife because of the brain tumor, but this is inappropriate. I write for Pathos. This is my beat. I'm always going to cover this. I'm sorry you feel that I've been inappropriate. And I left it at that. And then I just blocked it. But I told him I was blocking him. But I had a lot of fun with his response to my husband, telling my husband to control me. If he was a good Christian man, he would control me. Control me. We had quite the laugh in our household about that. That's one of my strays who's decided she's an indoor cat and that she's my cat. She follows me around. So I sent Jimmy Snow. We had quite the laugh over Ken's words. We both were just laughing over the fact that he thought Jim could control me. We don't have that kind of relationship. Even when we tried to have that kind of relationship, it never worked well for either one of us. It doesn't suit who we are as people. Why would God give you characteristics if he did not expect you to use them? I'm just going to say that. Why would he give you strengths if you're supposed to just turn those things off? I don't believe in that. So there's that. So Kim said all this stuff, and so I had a good time with it. I shared it on NLQ too, because it was revealing of the mindset of a man who thinks he can control all women. And if YouTube wouldn't ban me, I would be flipping him the bird right at this second, because he made a mistake. He made a pretty big mistake. My husband is not that type. And I'm not even going to say my husband's a great Christian, because in the years I've known him, church seems to be more about social. It seems more about hanging out, talking to people than it ever did about prayer or reading the Bible. He goes to Bible studies. He's church as country club guy. I've always called him that. And he knows that I call him that. So the thought that he's going to control me is pretty crazy. Yes, this kitty has chased my regular kitty off. So she lives wherever I am, whatever room I'm in. She's at my feet or at my side, at my elbow. You'll see her sometimes come up and pat me to tell me to pet her. She is just the sweetest little thing of all time. And oh my word, I have been rambling on the longest I ever have with my little cross-eyed self. So I should probably go, but I did want to talk a little bit about everything that was going on in the community, because I just don't get it. And I guess I never will, and that's okay. Like I said, I'm done without a box of Kleenex. Even just thinking her name makes me want to throw up at this point. I don't wish her ill. I just wish she would just disappear out of my life. I have her completely blocked in every way, shape, or form. So she's about to disappear out of my life for good. I'm going to take a little bit of a Twitter vacation. I'm actually going to concentrate on some other projects I'm working on. I have some other things in the pipeline that I'm going to be doing. So you guys all stay happy, stay healthy, do what you need to do to stay healthy. If that's avoid certain things or embrace certain things, if that's get people in to help you with their house, do it. I'm going to do it here. I can't be sweeping without falling down. And that's no fun at all. Amanda, I have too, because I had so many things on my mind that I really wanted to talk about that I've been putting off forever. I've been wanting to talk about the community for a while. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I had the best time the other night on Ren's live stream with BX. I actually had a good time, even when there was a troll that I'm pretty sure might have been without a box of Kleenex, because the stuff she accused me of is straight out of her mouth. came in. I had a good time. And if you had told me a month or 6 weeks or 2 months before that I would ever go on Renstream, much less have a good time, I would have said, oh, hell no. But it just goes to show you need to keep an open mind about everything and everyone. Everyone except the people that are harassing you openly. Those people, you just block them and you don't mention them ever again. Okay. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend and starting next week.